Most people begin their day not with intention but with completion. The alarm rings, and before they're even fully awake, they've picked up their phones, scrolled through 100 meaningless pieces of content, and already allowed the outside world to dictate the quality of their inner space. This automatic routine becomes a cycle, repeated for years until one forgets that life was never meant to be lived on autopilot. Every morning is a blank page, but most people scribble nonsense on it without even realizing. To break this unconscious loop, one must step out of habit and step into awareness. The moment you open your eyes in the morning is not a casual moment, it is a powerful one. It is the bridge between the invisible world of sleep and the visible world of action. If you cross this bridge unconsciously, the rest of your day will also be unconscious. But if you pause, sit up slowly, and take a few moments to simply breathe, to become aware of your body, your breath, and your presence, something fundamental begins to shift. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is the presence of clarity. In the midst of endless talking, arguing, explaining, and justifying, we rarely stop to realize that wisdom does not come from more noise. It arises from the still space in between. In that space, beyond mental chatter and emotional turbulence, the most profound realizations emerge. This silence is not something to be created. It is always there. You only need to stop disturbing it. When you sit quietly each day, even for a few moments, you begin to touch that space where wisdom lives, not borrowed knowledge, but inner knowing. People often confuse information with wisdom. Reading books, watching lectures, repeating spiritual phrases, these are not signs of wisdom. True wisdom arises when the mind becomes silent enough to observe reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. In silence, you start to see the mechanics of your own thoughts. You witness how restlessness breeds illusion, how desires distort perception, and how fear disguises itself as logic. This seeing is not intellectual, it is direct. And from that direct perception, wisdom begins to bloom like a flower that was waiting all along for the sun of awareness. In silence, life begins to speak to you, not through words but through presence. You begin to notice things you never did before: the rhythm of your breath, the tension in your body, the subtle pull of your thoughts. This noticing deepens your relationship with life itself. You are no longer reacting blindly, you are learning. You are no longer being pushed by life, you are walking with it. And in this companionship with silence, you realize that much of what you believed were problems were simply noise. And once the noise settles, solutions reveal themselves without effort. Wisdom does not need to shout, it whispers. And only a silent mind can hear it. When you develop the discipline to sit in silence daily, you are building a foundation that no chaos can shake. It is in that stillness that you begin to recognize the patterns of your own behavior. You notice where you leak energy, where you act out of compulsion, and where you resist truth. And in recognizing these patterns, you are not judging yourself, you are understanding yourself. That understanding is wisdom. And wisdom brings freedom, not from the world, but from your own inner noise. This kind of silence is not passive, it is deeply alive. It sharpens your perception, refines your attention, and opens your mind to deeper layers of existence. And in this space, you are no longer trying to be clever, you are simply becoming aware. And awareness, when sustained, becomes insight. That insight becomes a light. And that light becomes your inner guide, clearer than any advice and more reliable than any belief. In this way, silence doesn't make you empty, it makes you whole. Stillness is not the absence of life, it is the very foundation of life's most refined expressions. In our modern world, motion is often mistaken for progress. People rush, run and hustle, assuming that movement equals achievement. But when your movement lacks direction, when your actions are born from agitation rather than awareness, life becomes chaotic. Stillness is not about doing nothing. It is about pausing just long enough to align your body, your mind and your energies so that when you do move, you move with purpose, not with panic. Think of a wheel that spins wildly without a center. It shakes, wobbles, and eventually breaks apart. But when there is a still center, the wheel can move fast, yet remain balanced. Your inner stillness is that center. It is the axis around which your entire life turns. When you sit in silence daily, without fidgeting or chasing thoughts, you begin to find this center. It is not outside of you, it is within. From this center, life flows more smoothly. Decisions become clear, emotions stabilize, and even amidst external noise, an inner quiet guides you. When you sit in stillness even for a few minutes each day, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your body starts to breathe on its own rhythm, unburdened by mental anxiety. Your thoughts begin to settle like dust in still water. And deeper within, your life energies, which are often scattered in 1,000 directions, start to converge and align. This alignment doesn't just make you feel peaceful, it makes you powerful. Because a life that is internally aligned gains a force, a momentum that does not come from effort. It comes from integrity of being. Most people try to fix life on the outside while remaining fragmented on the inside. But true change, lasting change, only happens when the inside comes into alignment first. Daily stillness becomes the tool, not for escaping life, but for tuning your instrument so it plays the melody you desire. In stillness, you are not trying to achieve anything. You are simply allowing everything to find its right place, your thoughts, your breath, your intentions, your presence. You are not imposing order, you are uncovering the natural order that was always there. When stillness becomes a daily practice, you begin to notice that life doesn't resist you as much. Not because the world has changed, but because you are no longer pushing against yourself. You are flowing in sync with the deeper rhythm of life. And in this space, even complex problems seem to unravel naturally. Even people around you feel your centeredness, even if they don't understand it. You no longer act from a place of desperation. You respond from a place of balance. And this balance is born, not from knowledge, not from books, but from stillness. The most tragic misunderstanding in human life is this. People believe life is happening to them, not through them. They walk around with the belief that they are at the mercy of circumstances, of other people's opinions, of fate. This belief is not only disempowering, it is deeply false. Life does not trap you in a fixed script. It responds to the vibration you carry, the intentions you hold, and the energy you bring to every moment. Being a creator does not mean you control every event around you. It means you take responsibility for how you meet each moment. Two people can go through the exact same situation. One is shattered, the other is strengthened. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the one experiencing it. This shift from blame to ownership is the mark of someone who has awakened to their true power. When you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "How can I grow through this?" You are no longer a puppet of life. You have begun to shape it. Victimhood is seductive because it gives you something to cling to. It allows you to avoid responsibility, but it also steals your freedom. It convinces you that you are small, limited, and helpless. But look closely. Nothing in nature operates with self-pity. A tree grows through storms. A river flows through rocks. Even the lotus rises through mud unbothered by its origin. You, as a conscious human being, have the capacity to transcend far more than what the world throws at you. If you stop identifying as the one who suffers and begin identifying as the one who evolves. You create your experience not just through actions, but through the quality of your inner state. If you sit daily, still and aware, as we have already said, you begin to notice how your thoughts, emotions, and energy shape your reality. Anger breeds more conflict. Fear attracts more resistance. Gratitude opens new doors. Your inner atmosphere is not passive, it is a creative field. What you cultivate within becomes the soil in which your life grows. You are not helpless in this, you are the gardener. This realization becomes unshakable only